My dear friends, there is a statement we often make when we suspect that someone did not have our best interests at heart, especially when what we were asked to do turned out to be a disaster. And so we say, man, that was a setup. Again, when we have no clue about what to do when asked to take on a difficult task, we might also cry out, are you setting me up? Well, if I were with the disciples when Jesus asked them, who do you say that I am? Perhaps I would have said, brothers, this is a setup. Except that in that case, to set up would mean a different thing altogether, because the Lord always has our best interest at heart. That is to establish us in Him. That is a divine setup. Wouldn't you like God to set you up to succeed where others failed? He did so for Eliakim and Peter, and ultimately his only begotten son. The name Eliakim means God set up. God will set up. God will raise up. God will establish. Say amen if you believe that God will establish you in Him. I say amen to that. When we are in distress because of the situations we are in, when family members and friends forsake us, when our leaders and people in authority disappoint us, and when our society sinks in the mire of suffering and despondency, we need substantial hope and trust to believe that God will establish us again. Because God takes delight in His people. He is interested in and cares about our prosperity. And He sets things up for our good. He causes the changes of the times and seasons, establishes kings and deposits them. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who understand. Daniel 2:21. The God who builds up also tears down. He who plants can also uproot. He sets up hierarchies and orders, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been established by God. Romans 13:1. The Lord established Shebna as the master of the palace during the reign of Hezekiah. In today's term, Shebna would be considered a governor. King Hezekiah feared God, but Shebna, his steward, was proud and deceitful. God condemned the actions of Shebna, deposed and demoted him to the office of a scribe, and set up Eliakim in his place. This was the oracle of the Lord concerning Shebna. The Lord shall hurl you down headlong, mortal man. He shall grip you firmly and roll you up and toss you like a ball into a broad land. On that day, I will summon my servant Eliakim, son of Hilkiah. I will clothe him with your robe, gird him with your sash, confer on him your authority. He shall be a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. I will place the key of the house of David on his shoulder. What he opens, no one will shut. What he shuts, no one will open. I will fix him as a peg in a firm place, a seat of honor for his ancestral house. Isaiah 22:17-18, 20-24. God established Eliakim as the new master of the palace. Although the titles he gained set him up as a type of Messiah, the authority and the office of Eliakim was only temporary. But the divine establishment that endures forever awaited its fulfillment in the Christ of God. Amen. Therefore, what Eliakim couldn't achieve, Jesus accomplished by his obedience to the Father. And so God fulfilled his oracle through his beloved Son, Jesus Christ, raised up and established as Messiah, Lord and King. Oh, the depths of the riches and wisdom and knowledge of God. How inscrutable are his judgments and how unsearchable his ways. Romans 11:38. When Jesus invites you to follow him, he continues to teach you as you go along. He shapes you with his words, raises you up, and establishes you in him. And it is his delight to see you go on to visions and revelations of who he is. 2 Corinthians 12:1. The triune God inspires us and is attentive to our profession of faith in the Word made flesh. We could see how God revealed the divine nature of his Son to Peter. Jesus blessed, established Peter, gave him authority, and set him over the mission of the proclamation of the kingdom of heaven. I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gate of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Matthew 16:18-19. My sisters and brothers, each time we acknowledge the Lordship of Jesus in a new way and in a new situation, each time we avail ourselves of every opportunity to share and proclaim our faith in the Lord, he strengthens, empowers, and endows us with authority and power to bind and to loose in his name, according to his will. The ways of God stagger human comprehension. All the ways of God point toward human salvation. And God will uproot anything, anyone, or any nation that get in his way. That's how much he loves us. God uproot any leader that is in opposition to his establishment. We may kick and scream when God takes action, and that is all right, because he could use our distress to set us up and to establish us in him. But friends and foes cannot conspire to defeat the Lord's promise, the Lord's plan. No leader, whether political or religious, and no situation or circumstance can thwart the plans of God. They would advance God's plan instead. The word that goes forth from the mouth of God shall not return to him empty, but shall do what pleases him, achieving the end for which he sent it. Isaiah 55:11. So, dear friends, what then is your answer to the question, who do you say that I am? For me, Jesus is the Lord and true master of the palace. Jesus is not only the master of the palace, he is the one on the throne. He is the king and true father of the people of God. He is the peg which God has fixed in a firm place. He is our sure foundation, the rock of our salvation. He gained his title and glory not by deceit and arrogance, but through service, suffering, death, and resurrection. Jesus alone is the Holy One, the true, who holds the key of David, who opens and no one shall close, who closes and no one shall open. Revelation 3:7. Jesus closed the door to sin, death, and damnation. Jesus opened the door of redemption and salvation to whoever professes his name and title. And so we profess with Peter that Jesus, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And thank you for establishing us in you, for setting us up for success, for raising us up with you. Amen.